logical problem of the incarnation, which we've been hinting at all this time? Well, it's the idea that two sets of contradictory attributes can be predicated or ascribed to a single person or being. For example, how can a single person be simultaneously omniscient and yet ignorant, and omnipotent or have all power and yet be weak? And we can do this with various of the human qualities and the divine qualities. There's also a further complication on top of that, which is the biblical Jesus problem, which only adds to that same problem, which is this, that Jesus appears to have numerous limitations in the New Testament. But if God is not limited and Jesus is limited, then we have a contradiction. Now, according to the theologian Herbert Maurice Relton, and again, this shows that it's not merely J.C. Beale, he said this, and I quote, "The person of Christ is the bankruptcy of logic." Now listen to that again, that's quite shocking. The person of Christ is the bankruptcy of logic. Imagine that. In order to believe in Christ, you have to let go of logic. Well, I'm not willing to do that, and I hope that the audience isn't either. Another way that this problem has been expressed, and quite succinctly, by William Lane Craig, he explains the problem as such, and I quote, "But if anything appears to be a contradiction, surely this is it." So from one of the leading Christian apologists, he's tipping you off here, folks. He's saying, look, if anything appears to be a contradiction, surely this is it. So as Muslims, that better open our eyes and ears, and we better say, wait, what is this problem that's being spoken of? Because William Lane Craig is saying if anything appears to be a contradiction, this is it, and it has to do with Christianity. So we ought to pay attention to exactly what he's saying. Now he goes on further to explain what the problem is. How can Jesus be both God and man, infinite and finite, creator and creature? How can we unite in a single person both omniscience and ignorance, omnipotence and weakness, moral perfection and moral perfectibility? The attributes of deity seem to drive out the attributes of humanity, so that it seems logically inconsistent to affirm with the historic Christian church that Jesus is truly God and truly man. Wow, look at that. From one of the leading Christian apologists, he says, if anything appears to be a contradiction, surely this is it. And what is he talking about? The orthodox doctrine of the incarnation. Because it makes no sense to say how you have one person with two sets of contradictory attributes.